I write very unapologetically about my disabilities, about my life, and people oftentimes stereotype me as an inspiration and put me in the box of like, you overcame what you went through. So my name is Mugabi Byenkya, and I'm an award-winning writer of prose, poetry, comics, essays, and songs. When I was 4 years old, I fell in love with reading, and reading was my gateway drug to writing because I come from a family of big readers, and when my mother taught me how to read and I dove into all those impossible and imaginary worlds, I just couldn't look back. My creative process often starts with an idea, and that idea can come from honestly anywhere. I can be going on a walk or doing some biking, and the idea can just come to me, and I usually write that down, and then I flesh it out at a later date. And all of my creative works have come from an initial spark that has come to me from something completely unrelated to what I was doing at the time, and that has been fleshed out at a later date. So some of the stereotypes that I've faced within my artistic practice is stereotypes around, especially regarding the musical aspect of things, that musicians are hooligans, that they, don't have anything to do with their lives, that they just alcoholics and drug users and addicts and all these things that people perceive, especially within our society, of musicians. In terms of my writing, I've faced some stereotypes in regards to what I write about, because I write very unapologetically about my disabilities, about my life, and people oftentimes stereotype me as an inspiration and put me in the box of like, you overcame what you went through. And I didn't overcome what I went through because I'm still going through it and I still have my health challenges. And so I try my best to navigate that by just reminding people that sometimes you can't overcome, you can simply manage. So my creative art has transformed me immensely, because before I was creating professionally, I was down the academic path. I was in the environmental sciences, I was doing a master's program, I was a research assistant, I was working on an academic journal article, I was, which ended up being published. I was very much an academic. And then I had 2 strokes, which made that academic path no longer accessible to me. And so I started focusing more on the creative arts because it was accessible to me, and it transformed my life. I mean, I was able to find a career that I was able to do within the limitations of my disabilities. I have been able to write a book, put out a mixtape, write a bunch of different poems and essays and comics and things that have been like published by all these amazing publications. I've been paid for my work, I've been paid for my performances, I've done an international tour, and these are all things that I didn't think were possible, honestly, especially after my strokes. And so it has really completely transformed my life. It's nothing like what I expected my life to be like at this point, but it's very different in a good way. My collaborative dream is Mike Shinoda from Linkin Park, and the reason that I would love to collaborate with him is because I've been a big fan of his career since like I was like a child, like I've been a huge Linkin Park fan since like I was like 7 or 8 years old. And Mike Shinoda, one thing that I love about him is that he is like an all-round artist, and he's a multi-hyphenate artist, and that's something that I like also try to do through my work. But he doesn't define himself by genre. Like a lot of Linkin Park's cover art is designed by him. He directs a lot of their music videos. He produces all of their records. He songwrites on all of their records. He plays in the band. He raps. He sings. He does it all. And I really like the way that he bridges the gaps between these different mediums, because a lot of people restrict themselves into one box and think like, like for example, like a lot of the interviews that I've been doing ever since Songs for Men 2 dropped, a lot of people are saying, but you're a writer, how come now you're making music? And I'm like, but like I've been making music actually before I was writing professionally, but you just don't know that because you know me as Mugabi the writer, not Mugabi the rapper or spoken word artist, And Mike Shinoda, he doesn't really allow himself to be boxed in. He defies expectations. And as a collaborator, one thing that I really like about him is that during the COVID times, he put out a bunch of instrumentals where he just said, people, just make your own songs on these. And then he released the ones that he liked as songs for the people, and he gave them all the money from all the proceeds. So he's a very generous collaborator, and he seems to operate from that same place that I found with my collaborators, of not operating from a place of ego and operating from a place of what is best for the art. So I am a comic writer. I've loved comics since I was 8 years old, and I've been an avid comic book reader since childhood. But I recently got into writing comics along with my creative collaborator, Paul Bourgeois, who's an illustrator. He illustrates colors, pencils, inks, and letters. So he does the majority of the work, honestly. Like, I just do the writing. But like, it's like a childhood dream come true, because like I, grew up like reading comics and looking up to these comic book artists and being like, this is a dream that like will never be a possibility. But like now I have like I've been paid for my comics, and like it's like such a childhood fantasy that has actually become true, which is a truly, truly amazing gift and a privilege. So I'm always grateful to Paul, because Paul is somebody who I met on tour. Like, I was just on tour, he happened to be at the show that I was performing at. We became friends, we started communicating, and ever since then we formed a friendship through emails, through Facebook messages. And so I'm really, really grateful for my collaborative partnerships with Paul, and also with Prince Mwanguzi, who produced and audio engineered the majority of my mixtape, Songs for Men 2. Because these creative partnerships with Paul and the Prince in particular, they really they focus on what is best for the art, not what is best for respective egos. And so they really, really try to make what is the best quality for whatever the art is saying, not whatever I want, not whatever they want. And that has really, really been fruitful, because my creative partnerships in the past, there was a lot of ego involved. And so having the ability to create with people who remove the ego from the conversation is truly liberating.
Nkette ku machako bikula Instagram ndaboba waliyo content nange nchiberemu nesanga hashtag bingi ARTSY kwe kunyiga ko ndabe obaddala bya art naselengira benga platform egenda kuteka artist gwe ku form sibya kubuza mbuno gwe owasadi abnormal interviews babuza ofumbidwa ddi ARTSY ngabo weleza enoje interview dakika zibera kumizo kate muba interview ARTSY teka kola beba storyteller sako nababa mu kisawe chono art